Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason. This is another Historic National Road edition, and I am in Plainfield, Indiana, and it's just west of Indianapolis. And as you can see, there's a huge bridge behind me. I'll get to that in a moment. There's a historical marker here. There's one that talks about the history of Plainfield and its place on the Historic National Road. And there's also a historical marker I'll show you later on where a United States president had to make an emergency stop on the national road. So get ready, fasten your seatbelts, here we go. So I'm standing in Plainfield's Bicentennial Plaza, and I'm going to go ahead and read this marker. This is the fifth one I've encountered. I'm sorry, no, I take that back, sixth one. That includes two that were in Terre Haute. But there are 15 of these all over Indiana. And this one talks, actually wait, this is the back. I'll show you the front one first. That one's the Oasis Diner. I'll tell you more about that. It actually talks about diners on here. Okay, so this one basically talks about how diners were a big thing before fast food restaurants. Like the World War II generation and the generation between that and baby boomers, they were used to going out, hanging out in diners. They were small places. They served simple foods like hamburgers. Well, actually it says right here. Okay, so the pie case, the bottomless cup of coffee. Diners were America's first fast food restaurants. As automobile traffic increased on the national road in the 1920s, diners sprang up to satisfy the hunger of long-distance travelers. America's diners created a new food culture. Location, ample parking, bright neon signs, and drive-in convenience changed the way Americans ate. Like, this at one time was a big corporate chain, Burger Chef, which is now under the name of Hardee's. But it says here, would you like fries with that? Diners gave fast, friendly, and reliable round-the-clock service to travelers. You could grab a quick cup of coffee, slice of pie, or a complete turkey dinner with all the trimmings. Waitresses in starched aprons and caps were always ready to serve. Breakfast at noon, no problem. A cheeseburger after a drive-in movie? Come on in. Can't decide? Try today's blue plate special. By the way, I do not know personally what the whole blue plate means. Why not red plate? Anyway, maybe somebody in the comments can answer that one. Walk right in, sit right down. Song lyrics there. Visible, accessible, and familiar, the diner was one of the first recognizable roadside architectures. Gleaming stainless steel, broad windows showcasing happy customers, and bright neon signs captured the attention of motorists. Primary highways across the nation, like US 40, were ideal locations for new businesses catering to travelers. Now this down here is a drive-in theater in Terre Haute. They got everyone to pose for a picture. I don't know if this still exists. Maybe this caption will say, structures like this theater were originally located in the countryside on the outskirts of Indiana cities and towns. Cheap land and high visibility made the roadside attractive for drive-in theaters, diners, and motor courts. Shopping centers, malls, and fast food restaurants would soon follow, ultimately changing the landscape of the road. All right, can I take your order, please? There's an old diner that was in Terre Haute, circa 1941, the Eateteria. I guess, I mean, it's probably long gone. But behind me is a place called the Oasis Diner. Let me get up close real quick. Yes, this is a classic looking diner. I mean, it was much smaller than this. This was actually moved here recent years. It was originally located somewhere else on the national road, but for obvious reasons, I mean, it was the right idea to preserve it. I definitely hope to eat here sometime. Ham and beans, home fries, coleslaw, cornbread. Ooh, that sounds good. Unfortunately, this is kind of the wrong time of the day, as I'm not really hungry, but this one is not round the clock. They do have certain hours. And here's what the back panel says. It says the same as all the other kiosks, but it just talks about how the historic national road made a difference in westward expansion among America, people seeking new opportunities, going westward from the east. And then in the 1970s, with the completion of Interstate 70, US 40 was one of the country's primary east-west routes. And then in 2002, The U.S. Secretary of Transportation designated the historic national road from Maryland to Illinois an all-American road. Indiana is actively working to preserve its segment of the road, structures, and landscapes along this historic corridor. Today, the road continues to beckon travelers like you as it has for more than 200 years. Welcome to Indiana. So right here is where I'm at. I'm just not too far from the big city of Indianapolis. I was at Rising Hall. I was also at Brazil and Terre Haute. And then these are all the other towns I'm going. And then here's a little map. I've done the Illinois National Road. I hope to do Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Maryland pretty soon. And down here, it talks about Plainfield's history. I'm not going to go through all of them, but most of the interesting ones. December 11th, 1816, Indiana becomes a state. 1820, pioneers settled White Lick Creek area south of Plainfield. Hendricks County, Indiana, which I'm standing in, was formed in 1824. Post office established in 1835. First incorporation of town of Plainfield in 1839. The Van Buren Elm I will show you later on. Railroad first comes through Plainfield from 1850 to 1851, which kind of spelled the first phase of the National Road. And then Plainfield High School opens 1897, first library 1901. Now we're going to go over here. Hollywood actor Forrest Tucker, born in Plainfield in 1919. National Road designated US 40 in 1926. Construction of Interstate 70 in Plainfield in 1966. And then later years, like 2002, Plainfield trail system established with opening of White Lick Creek Trail, which is what I'm going to show you. And then Splash Island Aquatic Center opens in 2004. Brand new high school in 2009. And then the Oasis Diner was moved here in August 2014. Yep, that's it right there. All right, and then as of 2016, Plainfield's population estimated at 31,409. Very nice. A lot of towns should do this too, like kind of spotlight what their history is by doing it like a timeline style. All right, now I'm gonna check out that bridge real quick. So it looks like they got some bike trails happening all over this town. And there's a park with a football field. And this here is the Plainfield Pedestrian Bridge. It says on this plaque, dedicated August 2008. And I think it's held up really nice. Definitely stands out, I mean, for obvious reasons. I mean, for one, it's tall. It brings you, it's pretty much like a symbol of like getting out of fast food row towards the busy city part into, you know, the parks. And this down here is White Lick Creek. White Lick Creek. Gotta pronounce it right way. Here's something else I find interesting. Now, Indiana takes special pride in tenderloin. I guess it's their state food or something. But tenderloin and donut hole eating contest going on at Bicentennial Park on Quicker Day. I don't know what day that is. $10 entry fee. Sponsored by Oasis Diner and Jack's Donuts. I don't know where Jack's Donuts is, but that's the diner right there. All right, so here's this historical marker. It doesn't say any history on it, but it was sponsored by the Daughters of the American Revolution in 1941. And it's called the Van Buren Elm. This is not the actual tree. I'll explain more on that. But it was put up by the Caroline Scott Harrison chapter. All right, so here is how the story goes. At the spot in 1842, President Martin Van Buren's stagecoach overturned because of tree roots in the road, sending him into the mud. President Van Buren was opposed to using federal funds to pay for improvements along the national road. Legend has it that this accident was intended to give the president a lesson on the importance of keeping the road in good repair. So, yeah. I mean, that's why we take for granted today, you know, of course, you know, we work hard for our taxes, and yes, our tax dollars are being put to good use most of the time on roads, and Yep. Hopefully I did teach him a lesson. It was very interesting to find something on Martin Van Buren. It kind of makes you wonder where he was going, you know what I mean? And also legend has it that the tree was brought down by a windstorm in 1926. But this is the site of the Western Yearly Meeting Friends Church. I figure since I'm here anyway, I might as well read off this marker, although it's pretty much unrelated to the National Road. Probably is related. The Western Yearly Meeting House has been the site of annual meeting of Religious Society of Friends since 1858. The depository was erected to house Quaker records in 1873. Friends Central Academy served as a secondary school from 1881 to 1919. This was not, I thought this was put up by the Indiana Historical Bureau, but I could be wrong. But it was put up by the Galford Township Historical Society in 1972. And that's the school. It's kind of hidden by those trees there. All right, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked, Historic National Road Edition in Plainfield, Indiana. All right, on my way to the big city of Indianapolis, Nap City, Indy Town, whatever you guys call it. So here I go. See you in the next episode. I am Jason, signing off.